Hi, this is Jim Feldman, and this is the fourth in a series of 6 PitchingMagic videos that can teach you how to teach outstanding pitching technique to a beginner, even if you don't know anything about it yourself. Now, the first 3 steps presented almost all the basic mechanics needed to be a pitcher. The PitchingMagic coach's shirt says it all. Now, some parents get these as well as they help their daughters learn to pitch, because there's a constant reminder for the students to focus on the fundamental skills. The shirts the students wear have one additional image, which is very important for them. Now, here's the video that those images were pulled from. This is a student on the video. It's all about speed. Well, not exactly. She shows pinpoint control with movement as a 9th grader, and as a 5th grader, she could only heave the pitches to the backstop as she was learning the basics. Mastering technique, not that anybody can really master everything, does take a lot of practice for the student and patience for the teacher. You are probably preparing a student to pitch much sooner than 4 years from now, but what you teach her to get ready for the upcoming season should be the same things you remind her of 4 years later. Start them right and keep them right. Having been exposed to all the basic skills needed for pitching, the next 3 videos show how to combine those mechanics to throw an effective pitch. We start this video at toe touch, or the K position. As you go through this with your student, make sure that every step along the way in this 4th video is done with the 4 key principles of pitching in mind. Those are alignment, posture, spacing, and sequencing. Every one at every piece of this video. So start without a ball, stand with your feet facing perpendicular to the power line, and raise the throwing arm to a position just past peak. This is basically the ending point of video 1. With the ball and the body facing sideways, hand over the power line, shoulders above the power line so that the elbow is positioned to be able to swing freely past the hip. The weight is slightly on the push foot, the elbow is behind the head if you're looking at it from the target, and the elbow is slightly flexed. The elbow bend must be not greater than the hand lag at elbow connection that was determined in step 3. About 30 degrees is common, but there can be less, just not locked out. Get this starting position right, because the student needs to replicate this position every time she throws a pitch. And she needs to get to this position just as the stride foot toe touches the ground. Now allow the wrist to be completely relaxed and allow it to flop down. For most pitchers, it will flop to where the palm is parallel to the ground, fingers pointing away from the body. If the wrist does not flop into that position, relax some more and try it again. It's fine if the relaxed wrist flop position is not exactly perfect. The main thing is allowing the wrist to be loose. Push the hand up and allow it to fall. Many students will want to hold the wrist straight up, and that's okay, but the speed of the arm will flip the wrist straight without the student having to do anything. Doing the flop at this point helps build the student's confidence that lots of things in the pitching motion happen naturally, so she doesn't need to obsess over every detail. From here, begin to move the elbow along the power line away from the target. Keep the elbow flex constant. When the upper arm gets to the 3rd quarter position, just let the arm go into free fall. If the body lean from step 3 is correct, the upper arm will circle down to a spot where the elbow is just in front of the hip bone. The elbow flex may have increased a bit from the 3rd quarter position, and that is fine. Do not allow it to flex less until elbow connection. Either take a short sideways stride or just shift the weight from the push foot to the stride foot. As the arm reaches elbow connection, the hand should be allowed to whip through the release position and into follow through. Do this motion until it becomes natural and relaxed. Next, add a bit of strength to the elbow straightening when the elbow reaches connection. This will whip the hand freely through the release zone. As in step 3, make sure the hand remains above the power line. A common problem is starting to lessen the amount of elbow flex before connection. Watch that carefully, preferably with video assistance. Remember that the amount of flex, or hand lag, is determined at connection, not slightly before. Having 30 degrees of hand lag at the 3rd quarter and arriving at connection with none provides no advantage to having none all the way around the circle. This is a critical part of sequencing. Have the student work on this until it is correct and feels natural. It is the single leading cause for pitchers to not reach their potential or to get passed up by their peers for the choice roster spots years down the road. 10U and 12U pitchers might not pull it off even if they are trying, often because the neurological systems in the body have not yet fully developed. This is not a reason to give up on sequencing or to let her try shortcuts involving bad technique. Many 10U and 12U students working on sequencing will not perform any better than some pitchers who are using technique that isn't the standard technique used by advanced pitchers. It takes persistence and patience. Often, students simply just try too hard. It's difficult for a student to accept that being relaxed will help her get faster, until one day when it happens. She'll say, "Oh, that pitch was slow," while everybody else thought it was her fastest ever. When the big muscles do the work and the sequencing transfer that energy into the hand, it doesn't feel like it's going fast because there is less effort from the upper body. So keep doing drills for years until it happens. Or make their warm-up routine be a practice of sorts so that she works on it every time she gets ready to pitch. My best students generally look at the hand at the starting point to make sure the hand is above the power line and that everything else is correct. You might think that the best ones would be the last ones that need to check on those things, and that's probably true. But it's a habit they learned when they were starting, and it shows the discipline needed to excel. So do that motion until it is smooth. Now we'll throw a ball into the student's glove. The glove should be positioned on the front side of the stride leg with the elbow fully extended. Have her do the arm motion and place the ball in the glove on the way by. This will ensure that the hips have not rotated early and that the throwing hand elbow is completely straight at release, and that the release is coming very close to the push leg. Keep the hand lag and make sure that things are on the power line. Do not let her release the ball until the arm is fully extended. After she is consistently doing this well, widen the stance and turn both feet 30 to 45 degrees, keeping the tips of both shoes on the power line. Shift the weight back to the push leg, lifting up the stride leg to get the feel of it. She can return the stride leg toe to the power line for good balance. Make sure that the push knee remains facing the target as it flexes to keep her in balance due to shifting the weight back. As the arm is coming down the backside, shift, but do not rotate the body weight from the push foot to the stride foot at release into the glove. Do not throw the ball fast, just work on smooth technique. After the ball is in the glove, the student can rotate a bit during the follow-through. Remember that the follow-through has the throwing arm fully extended with the back of the hand facing the sky. Never allow a student to finish palm side up. After she is consistently doing this well, put a net or have a catcher position herself about half of the pitching distance. She will repeat this part with the feet angled and only shifting the weight and then getting into the load position and taking a small stride. Have her take a good look at the target, then close her eyes and release the ball from the K position start. She needs to keep her eyes closed until she hears it hit something, the net, the catcher's glove, the floor, the backstop, whatever. As a teacher, you should not be the catcher. Use a net if nobody else can catch. You need to watch her and have her make adjustments that are necessary. Make sure the ball starts and stays above the power line so that it can go straight. Make sure the hand lag is carried all the way down to elbow connection. Make sure the hand faces the target at release so that the stripe is straight up and down on the ball as it goes through the air. Keeping her eyes closed and having you tell her what adjustments are needed to find the strike zone helps her be focused on the technique as opposed to the results. Once she is consistently hitting the target with those throws, have her open her eyes and try again. Be prepared to have to go back and do all the adjustments again, and probably even some new ones. Do this until she is consistently throwing strikes at half the distance. One very common problem that shows up when the eyes open up is that the student will try to aim the ball. She'll rotate towards home plate, she'll straighten the arm before elbow connection, she'll have her shoulders be closer to the target than the hips, and so on. Go back to the eyes closed and do a few until she can fix that bad technique. Once she does that comfortably, it's time to add a short stride. Move the target back to about 3/4 of the pitching distance. Have her balance on her push foot and extend her push knee while she is keeping the body leaning back and in its sideways orientation until the stride toe touches the ground. The toe must touch before the heel. The stride must be right to the power line. Practice a few strides and have her close her eyes again and throw some into her glove and then to the catcher. The throwing arm does not move until the toe touches the ground. When it looks good, she can open her eyes and then throw to the glove and then to the catcher. Again, be prepared to make adjustments. Any practicing with poor technique simply cements that bad technique into her memory banks. Don't let that happen, and keep going back to a place where she can be successful rather than have her throw more than 2 in a row with the same technique error. So that's the K position. Do not let her throw particularly hard. That is coming next. Focus on good technique. Keep in mind that being able to do a few good ones is not sufficient to move ahead. Get this right and right again and again. She will lengthen her stride as part of the next video. Make sure that her arm does not start moving until toe touch, and that at toe touch, her hips must be closer to the target than her shoulders. Most pitchers, from beginners to professionals, include this action as part of their warm-up. By the way, when throwing the ball into a net, it is important to have a small target that the student is aiming for, as opposed to just trying to throw it into this large, empty net. Work with this position until it is very comfortable, natural, smooth flowing, and so on for the pitcher. She will often be coming back to this position as she advances, learning more and more technique. This is a great starting point for many drills, and being able to do this before attempting to move on to the next step will serve her the best in the long run.